Thank you for giving me the floor, Mr. Chairman. Today I will talk about waste management and its effects on energy and carbon emissions in the city of Istanbul. First, I want to share a couple numbers with you before I go any further with my presentation. Istanbul has a population of 13.3 million people, which stands for 18% of Turkey's total population. And the density of population in Istanbul is 2,400 people per square kilometers. And there are 39 districts in Istanbul. And since the topic of my presentation is waste management, there is 14,500 tons of waste per day produced in Istanbul. In the slide, you see the locations of waste management facilities in Istanbul. There are two landfills. One is in the European side, and the other one is in the Asian side. And there are two leachate treatment plants along with these landfills. And we have also one composting plant on the European side. And we have 7 transfer stations, which brings the waste from the towns to the transfer stations and from the transfer stations to the landfill sites. So what do we do with this huge amount of waste? 92% of the waste produced in Istanbul goes to the landfill. 4.7% goes to composting, RDF and granule plants, and 3.3% goes to recovery and recycling. So when we look at the composition of the waste in Istanbul, we see that more than half of the waste is organic, which is coming from the kitchen. So we call this organic waste, and this has a high potential of energy production. And the second high amount of waste is paper and cardboard, then plastic bags and the nappy cans. So how do we collect and transport the waste? So as I said before, the waste is collected from the streets by small trucks and brought to these 7 transfer stations. And from these transfer stations, the waste is brought to 2 landfill sites by larger trucks. So 14,500 tons of solid waste produced in Istanbul every day requires 1,900 runs to 7 transfer stations by small trucks and 500 runs from the transfer stations to the landfill sites by larger trucks. So how do we dispose these waste collected? So 10,000 tons of waste produced in one day is landfill in the European side of the landfill, and the other 4,500 tons of waste is landfill on the Asian side of the landfill. So when we look at the numbers, every month in Istanbul, we produce 417,000 tons of waste, and on the yearly basis, it's almost 5 million tons every year. So whenever we have a landfill, we have a problem of wastewater or leachate. So we have 2 leachate treatment plants with the landfills, and the way we treat the leachate is called MBR, membrane bioreactor. First we have nitrification and denitrification to remove the nitrogenous products. Then we have ultrafiltration and nanofiltration to remove the colloidal materials. So with this leachate treatment plant, we have over 98% of COD, chemical oxygen demand removal. So when we look at the quality of the water that is being treated at these treatment plants, we have almost clean water after nanofiltration outlet. Since the organic portion of our waste is high, we established 2 landfill gas waste to energy plants in Istanbul with a capacity of 24 megawatt installed capacity. Just to give you some numbers, in 2010, we produced 115 million kilowatt hour energy in Istanbul from these two LFG plants. And this amount equals to almost 6 million euros in 1 year. That is how much energy we produced from waste in Istanbul in 2010. So we have another plant called composting, RDF, and granule plants. This plant has a capacity of 1,000 tons per day. We have a method of aerobic composting. We produced almost 100 tons of compost, 25 tons of RDF. RDF is a refuse-derived fuel which is used in the cement factories as a fuel. And we also produce 5 tons of granule materials from the plastics that is sent to the factories to remanufacture plastics. And the compost that we produce is used in the parks and gardens of Istanbul. We also have a medical waste incineration plant in Istanbul with a capacity of 24 tons per day, and the plant works with 1200 degrees Celsius temperature. These are some numbers about the medical waste we produce every day. In 1 year, we produce around 17,300 tons medical waste in 1 year. And the daily amount of medical waste produced is around 50 tons per day. So when we look to the future, in 2025, we will have almost 24,000 tons of medical waste produced in 1 year. We also deal with a great amount of cleaning in Istanbul. Every day, 4 million square meter area is cleaned and swept by these trucks. And I would like to give you some numbers about the collection and recycling of packaging waste. I should mention that we are not at the point where we are supposed to be about recycling packaging waste, but every year we collect and recycle around 90,000 tons of packaging waste. So now I will talk about the effects of waste management on carbon emissions in Istanbul. By having these two landfill gas waste to energy plants, in 1 year nearly 1.2 million tons of carbon dioxide is prevented from emitting to the atmosphere. As you may all know, that a landfill gas is mainly composed of methane gas, and methane is about 21 times more powerful at warming the atmosphere than carbon dioxide itself. And according to the European Union Renewable Energy Directive, biodegradable municipal waste is considered as a renewable energy source. Packaging waste collected in Istanbul provide 84,000 tons of carbon dioxide emission reduction, and transfer stations provide 5,000 tons carbon dioxide per year emission reduction owing to the less traffic load in the city of Istanbul. Composting plant provides 5,000 tons of carbon dioxide emission reduction. RDF and granule plants, in the RDF plant, 790 tons of carbon dioxide, and in the granule plant, 90 tons of carbon dioxide is prevented from emitting to the atmosphere. And the leachate treatment, by having these two leachate treatment plants, it provides 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide emission reduction every year. On this table, you see some numbers. Since Turkey is a candidate country for the European Union, all the environmental regulations are being revised according to the EU environmental regulations. For this reason, environmental investment costs between 2007 and 2023 have been calculated, and the total necessary investment in the environmental field alone is about 58.5 billion euros, of which 9.5 billion euros will be spent on waste management until the year of 2023. Thank you for listening.